So one of the things that's important for everybody to understand is how to read the Bible. The Bible is, on the one hand, exactly like anything else we read. Words and sentences and paragraphs and all the strategies that we use for reading the newspaper or our favorite novel at one level are brought to Scripture. We're going to read those sentences. We're going to assume that the author was trying to communicate something to us that we can understand, and we're going to understand it in its context. But the Bible is not like everything else we read because it was actually written in different languages and different cultures a long time ago. And so we're going to have to think more deliberately about the original context, the original historical settings that were going on. It may take a little bit of extra work to understand the Bible in ways that the newspaper doesn't, because the newspaper was simply written in our culture, in our time. But there's another layer of deliberateness that we need to bring to understanding the Bible, because not only was it written by authors a long time ago in other languages and other cultures, it was also all of it written by God. 66 books, yes, different authors, different stories and subjects that they're dealing with, but at the same time, one author and one story. And so a really important kind of reading strategy for understanding the Bible is to recognize that as well, that there's one author, one story, it all fits together. And understanding that the Bible is fundamentally God's revelation of Himself entering into history and ordering all of history to bring about His own glory through the redemption of His own people, begins to bring a coherence and a unity to the entirety of Scripture. So while I'm going to read maybe poetry in the Bible differently at one level than I'm going to read history in the Bible, when I recognize that both the poetry and the history is all telling one story, I gain a much better understanding of what's going on. Another way of thinking about it is the Bible has several different contexts, and you always want to read in context. So I want to read whatever I'm reading in the immediate context of the paragraph and the book that I'm reading. But if I'm reading in the Old Testament, I need to think about how does this fit into the context of the whole Old Testament? But then I always have to remember that any passage I'm reading fits into the context of the whole Bible. And the whole Bible is about Jesus Christ and God's accomplishment of His glory by saving His people through His Son.